writing another book on the history of video games? Asked Michael Katz, the former head of Sega of America, when I interviewed him for this book. There are many reasons why, but two stand out. The first is that the attempts at writing the history of video games to date have been US rather than global histories. In Replay, the history of video games, I hope to redress the balance, giving the US its due, without neglecting the important influence of games developed in Japan, Europe, and elsewhere. The second, and more important reason, is that the video game history is usually told as a story of hardware, not software, a tale of successive generations of game consoles and their manufacturers' battle for market share. I wanted to write a history of video games as an art form, rather than as a business product. In addition, video games do not just exist on consoles. They appear on mobile phones, in arcades, within web browsers, and, of course, on computers. Formats that lack the distinct generational divides of consoles. Hardware is merely the vehicle for the creativity and vision of the video game developers who have spent the last 50 or so years molding a new entertainment medium where, unlike almost all other rival media, the user is an active participant rather than a passive observer. Hardware sets limits on what can be achieved, but it does not dictate what is created. The design of the ZX Spectrum home computer did not guarantee the creation of British surrealist games such as Jet Set Willy or Deus Ex Machina. The technology of the Nintendo 64 only made Super Mario 64 possible. It did not ensure that Shigeru Miyamoto would make it. The real history of video games is a story of human creativity aided by technological growth. Replay sets out to celebrate the vitality and vision of video game creators, and to shed light on why video games have evolved in the way they have. For that reason, not all of the games featured in this book will have been popular, and conversely, some very popular games are not mentioned. The focus is on the innovative, not the commercially successful. Finally, a note on terminology. I've used the term video game throughout this book with the occasional use of game, when there is no risk of confusion with other forms of games such as board games. I chose video game in preference to other terms for several reasons. It remains in everyday use, unlike TV game or electronic game. It is broad enough to encompass the entire medium, unlike computer game, which would exclude games such as Atari's Pong that did not use microprocessors. And terms such as interactive entertainment, while more accurate, have failed to catch on despite repeated attempts over the years.